Hey everybody, I'm Ebony. This is Ebonee's Creativity. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. Today's project is one of those projects that has been taking up so much space in my brain for years. And I did not do it because I was not quite sure how to do it, but I wanted to go ahead and give it a try and stop putting it off and have some faith in myself. So I decided to do that for this video. Please thumbs up the video if you are enjoying it at any point and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Thank you so much for watching, and let's hop right on into the project. So here's what we're going to be working on today, and it is my laundry room door. As you can see, somebody has done a previous DIY with chalkboard paint. I thought it was cute at first, but I just wanted to elevate it some more. Also, whoever has been painting this for the past 102 years has never stripped it down. They have always just stacked on more and more layers, and you can see it just looks really bad. The trim was the same way, so I just already stripped those, and I'm going to work only on the door today. I'm going to start by removing the hinges, which are holding the door in place. I had to pull out the reinforcement for the stripped screws. Y'all, this is a hot mess. You can see so many layers of paint are on this hardware that I had to free it by using my screwdriver to kind of cut away and try to get underneath the paint layers because it was just so caked on and thick. So after a short struggle, I was able to free and remove the door. Up next, I removed the doorknob. I think these doors just look heavy and clunky, but I did want to salvage them because they are an original part of the house. So I am going to just modify them by cutting out the middle portions. I'm going to start out that process by creating a pilot hole in all the corners. If you are a regular watcher of my channel, you'll know that I struggle with power tools most of the time. So I am going to continue to try to use them until I get better. I think I did do a little bit better with the circular saw this time. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that. My cuts are still just as crooked as ever. However, I do feel a lot more comfortable holding the tool in my hand. But as I said previously, my goal is to hollow out this middle section. So I'm just going to continue to use my saw to do that. In my mind, once I cut from pilot hole to pilot hole, the middle section would fall out. But I found out in practice that I had to flip the door over and make deeper cuts that went all the way through. But on this back side, I could just barely see the previous cuts that I made, so I was able to go ahead and use this smaller saw, which is a lot easier for me to handle. So at this point, I have finally achieved my goal of cutting out the middle section. Here's how this looked once the middle was completely gone. I knew I wanted to place a piece of glass in the middle of the door, but when I priced it, it was just way too expensive. So I found this door at the Restore and I decided to remove the trim in order to remove the glass. As I said before, this thing just has so much paint on it. I think I counted like 7 layers. You can kind of see them here. Look, there's a beige layer, a green layer, a brown layer, a couple of white layers. Just a hot mess. So I went in with my 60 grit sandpaper in order to bring this down to bare wood. Once I realized that the sandpaper was taking entirely too long, I switched to using this stripper. I had to strip it a couple of times as well. So here is kind of what my result was after the first layer of stripper. And here are the results I got after my second round of stripping. So as you can see, this started to work really well and I was getting down to the raw wood. I wanted to salvage as much original material as possible, so I am going to be reusing the hinges, but first I need to soak them in vinegar to see if I can remove the paint. Since I'm going to be redoing the door, I decided to just go ahead and make the whole space work better for me. So I'm going to be also reversing the way that the door swings. I'm starting out that process by making this template of where the old hinge used to be so that I can cut out the exact same shape on the opposite side of the trim. I'm just going to push my pencil into the opposite side of the trim, and then that will show me, you probably can't see it on camera, but I can see a faint line that I just scribed into the wood with my pencil that I'm going to use my little Drexel tool to cut. At this point, the hinges have been sitting in the vinegar for about maybe 2 hours now. And normally that is enough time to go ahead and clean them up. I'm scrubbing them with steel wool and that stubborn paint is still stuck on there. I really didn't have an expectation that all of that paint would come off because I know it is caked on for many, many, many decades. But I was hoping to get them a little bit cleaner than this. So I just kept scrubbing, scrubbing, scrubbing for about maybe an hour. And truthfully, I probably should have just bought new hinges, but I wanted to do this as cheaply as possible. So I decided to just go with these. I scraped as much paint as I could off of these hinges. After scrubbing, I thoroughly dried them to prevent any further rusting, and then I took them outside to spray paint them with this metallic silver spray paint. And I wanted to make sure to do several thin coats because I did not want to put the hinges up and then find that there was caked up paint and they couldn't turn. The pros to using this cheap door from the Restore was that it was only $25 and it gave me a beautiful piece of glass, which would have easily cost me hundreds at any other location. The cons is that it was filthy, so I had to take vinegar and a razor blade and just scrape all the old caulking that was around it, holding it into the previous door, as well as all the dirt. Then I went over to my Cricut and cut out the word laundry. I cut it out using this Dollar Tree adhesive drawer liner and as well as paper. I used the paper version to get my spacing right, and then I went in with the Dollar Tree drawer liners to stick those down. I measured out a straight line using masking tape as my guide, so now I'm just removing that. Now that my letters are down, I've got this frosted glass spray paint that I'm just going to be using to spray over the entire glass. Here is my first time using a router. I wanted to make like a little ledge on the edge of this for the glass to sit into, but my time with the router did not go to plan. It was just complicated for me. Like I said, I'm not the best with power tools, but I still try. So I'm going to tell you, like my mama tells me, nothing beats a fail but a try. And that's the best I can do with power tools, try. I did manage to get a little ledge routed out. It was not flat, not straight, not perfect at all, but that's okay because I'm going to be able to go with it. And now I'm just going to take my sander and remove all of the paint chips that the stripper did not remove. And I'm just going to go over my routed out area and try to sand it down a little bit. And also the areas that I cut with the circular saw, I'm just sanding to try to get everything as smooth as possible. Gonna follow that up with some Dawn and some warm water, and I'm just gonna wipe everything that I've just sanded down. I did a dry fitting with the glass and I realized that I had cut my opening too big. So I'm just going to be taking a piece of similar looking wood and filling this opening in a little bit. I'm going to start out with putting some glue on this piece of wood that I've cut to fit in here, and then I will be going ahead and using my nail gun to attach it. Now that I have this piece in place, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the crack with wood filler. Since the glass is dry now, I went ahead and did another dry fitting, and it looks like it fit in my little groove that I routed out perfectly. My initial idea was to use trim to hold the glass into place, but then my dad gave me the idea to use these mirror clamps, so shout out to him for that idea. After I confirmed that those clips were going to work fine to hold the glass in, I went ahead and removed the glass so I could make sure that my hinges and my alignment of the door frame were intact before trying to put it up there with the glass in. So I went ahead and re-secured the hinges, and here's my dad and me. We're just doing a dry fitting to make sure that everything lines up and the door swings appropriately. After a few minor adjustments, we were able to secure the hinges and pin them in place. I decided to do the rest of this process with the door hung. So the frame is in place now, and I'm just sanding back that wood filler that I added when I put on that new piece. I wiped everything back down, and then I went in with this paint. I wanted to do this as cheaply as possible, and when I moved into my house, there was already several gallons of paint in here. So I just picked the whitest one. I think it's called Gallery White by Behr, and I'm just going in with that paint. Next, I got my dad to hold the glass in place while I re-secured those mirror clips. I bought a pack of doorknobs from Amazon because I wanted to replace all the bedroom doorknobs in my house. But since I have an extra one, I'm just going to be using it on this too. It's not ideal because it does have a lock on it, but that's okay. I like this style better than the previous one, and this one is already here. And like I said, am doing this as cheaply as possible. So I'm just going to use this doorknob that I already have. Like I said before, my cuts are nowhere near perfect, so I've cut out some trim, and I'm just going to be nailing some trim in place to hide the imperfect areas. And now it is finally time to start doing something which is very satisfying, and that is removing the vinyl, aka drawer liners, from my letters. Alright y'all, it is intermission time. If you are watching and you have not subscribed, here are some of my previous flips. Hopefully one of them will compel you to subscribe to my channel. If you have already subscribed, thank you so much. Please thumbs up the video or leave me a comment letting me know what you think of this project. Without further ado, here is the finished product. Thank you guys so much for watching, subscribing, leaving comments, and liking the video. If you have the time, please select another one of my videos to watch from the choices on your screen or in the description box below. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.